Good morning and welcome to another episode of Ask Elly Intuitive Insights. Today is August 17th. We are live out of New York and I am your hostess. My name is Elly Molina. I am an Amazon bestselling author. I'm an international advisor to public figures, celebrities, business professionals, and I'm also a longtime educator. And I have guided people from all walks of life to become the alchemists of their life. And that's a very exciting place and profession to have. And so I'd like to welcome everybody here today who's entered the room. I'm excited to have you and welcome. So I'd like to start today just with a little refresher of what's happening for us this weekend and this coming week. So, tomorrow, astrologically, is the 18th. We have a Venus trine Jupiter. So, this is a fabulous day to do anything that uh, is loving and kind and generous. So just imagine putting on your glow and going out and celebrating, whether you are in love or not. It doesn't matter. We are in Leo. So this longs for luxury, it longs for elegance. Go to the spa, treat yourself, be happy on this day. I mean, like, really, just get up in the morning and declare, hey, you know what? Today, Venus is trine Jupiter, and that means that it's going to be magical, as if you were spreading fairy dust around. And just go do that for yourself and others. Imagine, I read this in Rhonda Byrne's book. Imagine sprinkling fairy dust of gratitude and love onto other people, and just do that. Do it tomorrow. Do it every day. Thing is, remember to do it. It's just about remembering. And so then we have Mars entering Gemini on Saturday the 20th. So, what does that mean for people? Well, it really means that Mars is going to take over the Gemini aspect, and you're going to have a lot of ideas going and flowing. You may even feel energized to do things in many different areas. So you have like lots of pots are cooking on the stove. Think of it like that. You're making a really big meal. And depending on what house it's in your astrological chart, that's where you're going to find the most activity. So, rather than make yourself wrong and say, oh, I can't do all these things, just imagine that you were cooking a gourmet meal. You were cooking the gourmet meal, and you had a lot of pots that needed to get handled at the same time to make a fabulous meal. So that is your Gemini in Mars. And just use that energy to create. And then on the 21st, Mercury opposes Neptune. So it's not the best day to do bookkeeping. All right. So just let it wait one more day. Big deal. And then on the 22nd, the sun enters Virgo. You're going to be articulate. You'll be persuasive. This is a perfect day for working in sales. If you're a lawyer, this is a great day for writing up your proposals, closing your arguments. Anyway, great day. And then that ends it for the week until some other magical stuff happens on the 24th, but we'll talk about that next week. So, without spending any more time on astrology today, I would like to welcome my guest, Dominic Zenden, into our podcast room. And Dominic, if you're there, I would love, as soon as I introduce you, well, even before I introduce you, this is live. Why don't you hop on the call, Dominic, right now? Call in, hit that call button on your phone where there's the app so that you can get into the room. And then I'm going to do the big introduction for you. So you will see that where the live spot is, that is where you just hit that little button and call in. So I will wait for Dominic to call in. And let's just send him lots of good vibes for calling in. So there's a little button on your app, and you hit that microphone button, and it will say call in. So I'm going to wait for Dominic to call in. And in the meantime, if anybody has any questions or wants to share anything, my guest today is aura profiler and metaphysical teacher Dominic Zendin. Dominic has a worldwide podcast called Twisted and Misunderstood. It is heard in 90 countries. He's an expert on everything paranormal, and he writes his own monthly column in several spiritual publications. And join us when Dominic gets here for a lively discussion and your questions answered. And so, in the meantime, while I'm doing this thing again with Dominic that we did last week, and looking at what could possibly be in the way over here, if anybody has any questions or wants to share anything, because remember, we're live, so I don't have a problem talking. Oh, there's Dominic. Dominic, please hit the call button on your app. There is a little button, it's a microphone. Let me get more um, specific. There is a microphone, and what you do is you hit that microphone, Dominic, and then it will say call in. So if you can do that. All right. And I've also invited you as a speaker right now. So not sure where that's going. And if anybody has anything. All right. Before Dominic arrives, could you explain what is an aura? Yeah, great. Thanks, Thomas. So, the auras are the light, I don't, let's use light spectrum, things that we can see around other people and objects. So let's look at it like this. This is my primitive way of describing it. If you were to look at an object, let's say a tree from a distance, and then you keep your gaze on there and you just kind of space out a little bit, whereas you lose your focus, what you're going to start to see is that there will be a white, usually with my experience, this is how I see it, behind the tree as you're spacing out, there is a white formation that comes that you'll start to see behind objects. And when you get really good at looking at that and discerning, what you can start to see with practice is that there are certain let's call it lights behind particular, that's the aura, particular objects or people. Dominic, you need a headset. I don't know what to tell you. If you can type your message, and I am baffled as to what's going on over here. I'm really baffled. So all I can tell you is that on the app, there is a microphone, and if you hit that microphone, it gives you the opportunity to call in. And it is easier if he is on his phone. Yes. And that is where, if you are on your phone, that is what we spoke about yesterday. You want to just hit that call button because, I mean, you're here. So you're in the room, then you just need to hit that call button. And allow call-ins. Okay, no callers right now. Okay, if anybody else has a question or wants to talk about something while we're waiting for Dominic to join us, please, ask your questions right now if you want to talk about anything metaphysical. I do know that there's some, it's not working for him. It's just not working. All right. Well, he just said to me that it's not working and he's done his very best. So, oh boy. Okay. So without all, big hype over here for Dominic. Hey, so listen, for all of you listening to the podcast today, I am going to suggest that you head over to Dominic's podcast at some point, which is called Twisted and Misunderstood, if you want to hear more about Dominic and what he's up to. And I'm so sorry that he's not able to join us and not really clear what's going on and why this isn't working for him. But we could always look at it like it's just, we could use those cliches where it's not meant to be, or we can also say, hey, we're not on the same frequency today, or we're just having technological glitches, and that's just so it is what it is. And yeah. Anyway, hey, for anybody who's driving today, want to call in and share some of your manifestation stories? I would love to hear some manifestation stories. And I've got a few manifestation stories. And anybody out here listening today, why don't we use this time to empower each other and share some really fabulous manifestation stories? Um, I mean, I could really ask some people right now to call in, and I would love to do that. All you need to do is hit that call button. And hey, can I, like in school, can I ask one of you? You know who I'm talking about, right? World traveler. Can you call in? Are you in a space where you can call in and share some of the manifestations that have been happening to you since using quantum leaping and the tools that we've been doing and using in the teachings? Is that a possibility? Yeah, no, maybe so. All right. Anybody else want to? Oh, yes, 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 yes. Is working? Is it working? Can you call in? Um, oh, hi, you're here. Hello. He's connecting from.
Hello, Elly.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon from where you are.
Good afternoon from where I am,
Oh,
or where am
no.
I?
Where are you, Waldo? Okay, so listen. Anybody who's listening to this podcast, I have to share with you. This Thomas has like the one of the best manifestation stories in the year. So if we can give like manifestation awards, he gets one. There's a couple of other people on this call who are also eligible here for manifestation awards. Okay. And it's really just doing the work. Tell us a little bit about some of the manifestations that have happened for you in the past. I'm going to say 6 months. Okay. It hasn't even been a year. I am going to
Uh-huh.
get you an award.
It hasn't been a year. It's really strange. Well, just to back up a little bit, I mean, here I was living in Williamsburg, Virginia. I had lived there probably about 30 years, living, just a day-to-day life, nothing too exciting. I had been taking care of my parents. They were both ill for over 16 years. And they, I had been working. Ellie, can you hear me?
I can hear you
Okay,
loud and
because I'm
clear.
getting
It's
backlash by the speaker. Just a moment. Um, okay, can you still hear me?
I do. I can hear you.
But I can't hear you.
Oh
Okay,
no. Well,
no,
you
I
just
can hear
keep
you.
talking.
I kind of like to hear what I'm saying. Um, so I was just living, just a day-to-day, not too exciting life, and both my parents passed away, and I had been manifesting travel, actually, quote unquote, the jet set life. So and to move. I did not want to stay there any longer, and I really had always wanted to move to Europe. So those were my two major manifestations. And the real estate market, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, got crazy in Williamsburg. Never before it had followed the trend of the rest of the United States. It always had stayed at maybe 1, 2, 3% above markets, compared to 13 and 14% that the rest of the markets were seeing around the world. However, this time it presented itself at one of the highest it's ever been. And I'm saying, if I'm going to go, I need to go now. And so it
Mm.
happened so quickly. I sold my house, my cars, and I moved to Germany. And that was manifestation number one. It happened so quickly. I'm not sure that I think my head is still spinning from believing that here I am, moved from a huge home, and now I'm living in an apartment that they consider large in Europe.
Hmm.
And then from there, I was asked to work with a puppy rescue mission, and I have been flying all over the Middle East, pretty much all over the world,
Hmm.
um, transporting dogs,
Hmm.
saving them for our military service. So
That's
I've been in the Middle
amazing.
East, I've been in New York, I've been in Montreal, and I just came home from a month of traveling. And 6 months ago, who knew that I would have been in Dubai or Kuwait or Amman,
Tunis.
Jordan?
Uh-huh,
or
uh-huh,
just my recent trip to Tunis.
uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
that was all part of my manifestation. Did it come exactly the way I expected it to? No, it didn't. But I
Right,
guess
right.
it manifested itself in the way the universe wanted it to be manifested.
Right. And this is, and again, this is so awesome. It's just so incredible. And I just love watching, I'm over here, vicariously watching his life over here. Okay. Yeah. We worked together, we did all the work together, and here he is traveling around the
But
world. Okay.
But Ellie,
Flying.
it definitely, it was working with you, no doubt about it, because I never would have known any of these techniques or magic that you presented. However, it's the day-to-day working too, because you can forget, and easily I
Mm-hmm.
forget sometimes of the teaching, so I have to go back into my notes. It's very
Mm-hmm.
easy to fall into
Absolutely.
your old pattern ways. Um, and it
Uh-huh.
happens to me still to this day. I mean, especially because I've been on this whirlwind travel this summer. I've had the most amazing summer going to Petra or going to the Carthage in Tunis. I mean, a year ago, I had no intention. I thought the big thing was going to be moving to Germany.
Yeah, and swimming in the Dead Sea, right? No, let's
Right.
not forget that one also. Okay,
Exactly.
uh, and and
Exactly.
listen, I love your, and here's the other thing. Then for people listening, Thomas and I, we had never met in person, and we've known each other since 2008 or seven, and we
Right.
first met um, in July of a year ago, and then we met again at the TWA hotel for cocktails, and just as he was in transit between flights. And it was like, oh my God, I have to come meet him. I have to come see this world traveler before he leaves New York and spend some time with him and just, sprinkle our fairy dust all over everyone that we see. And it's so true. I was talking to another person this morning via text who is also on this call, who I would love to have her call in also. And we were talking about how all of this magic is so, and I call it magic. It's really not magic, but it is, because it does feel so magical. We don't have words for it. How all of this magic is just available for at our fingertips when we know how to use it, and then when we do use it, and it is remembering to use it on a daily basis. So for those people who may be listening, what the thing is that we spend 99% of our time in what is known as, some people call it habitual actions, some people call it the sleeping state. We're basically machines. We are machines, and we are on autopilot all the time until we remember ourselves. And in that moment of remembering ourselves, oh, I am greater than just this machine that gets up and eats and has all these cloudy thoughts going on in my head all day long. When we can remember who we are and what we're up to and what we've declared for ourselves in our life, and we add some gratitude to that, and we add some conscious thought and awareness to our human potential, that is the moment in my experience after doing this all these years, that those are the moments where we start to create the magic. Will you agree with me on that one? You there, Thomas?
Yes, but I also think, Ellie, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Ellie?
yeah. Yes, I hear you. I
Okay.
hear
It,
you.
it's hard to tell with this. So I also think I don't want to call it our upbringing, but I think it's also the way that we've been programmed through life.
Hmm.
Prime
Hmm.
example saying money doesn't grow on trees. Well, why doesn't it? Why
Hmm.
can't we create money growing on trees? Of course, not literally, but
Hmm. Hmm.
it's the thought patterns that you taught about,
Hmm.
and the words that we use when
Hmm.
those thought patterns are going on, even to ourselves. So
Hmm. Hmm.
catching those things was a huge hurdle for me, and it still is, because
For
I
all of
find
us.
myself going back into the old patterns.
Hmm. Yeah.
After all
You
these
just broke
years,
up.
most people would say, "Oh,
Hmm.
you're set." Most people would
Oh
say
no.
you're set in your ways.
Right, right. And we do know, and thank you for adding that, because we do know that language creates reality. And that people seem to forget. And they think, oh my, and it's so simple that we actually forget language creates reality. The more that you keep saying, oh, I got this pain in my neck, pain in my neck, pain in my neck, it's going to, these are little things, but these all of a sudden you've got stiff necks, you've got neck problems, you've got joint problems. This is where it starts. Oh, I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear this. Could be self-talk, right? I don't want to hear this. Well, guess what you got in a couple of weeks? You got an earache. So it does work on the physical level in our bodies like that. And of course, it also works in our realities. Like if you think, what, I can never have that. I'll never be able to travel. Well, you know what? Don't even bother buying an airline ticket because you ain't going nowhere. Okay. So give it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't mean to be negative over here. It's just what's so. So the
But it's
moment that
kind of like stress. How it proves to me is how language affects your body. It's how stress affects your body. So if stress can affect your body, language certainly can because they're the equals to one another.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right, exactly, exactly. And I'm just like, for people want to start, people say, oh, affirmations don't work. Well, the only reason affirmations don't work is because you don't believe it. So it's like putting chocolate on shit, excuse the language. Anybody who is offended by that. So think about it like this. If you have a basic core belief, from the way that you're raised and, anything at all about your life and your experiences, that you're never going to have money and that money is for other people and you might as well give it up. It's not going to be for you in this lifetime. If you have that basic core belief, like really core belief in your body, and you start saying, oh, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, and it's not going to happen because you don't have any connection to having millions of dollars. You don't have any connection to what it feels like to have abundance. And you could have a fluke situation like some of the lottery winners who win all this money and then lose it shortly thereafter because they haven't internalized the program of what it looks like to have that money, to be, again, the word here is be a millionaire. Okay, you can have millions of dollars and they'll leave your fingers like, I don't know, like air, water dripping through. It is about being. Who are you being? Are you being somebody who has wealth and abundance and can accept all of that? Your thoughts on that, Mr. Thomas?
Well, I mean, I think affirmations get you over the hurdle and
Mm-hmm.
get you into a new space. To continue doing affirmations, I'm not sure actually is beneficial in terms of time. Because you could spend all day using all your senses, smell, taste, eating, and writing affirmations. But if you as you said, if you don't believe it, it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
if you already believe it's going to happen, I'm not so sure that continuing doing affirmations is actually beneficial to you. I think it helps you get to that next stage
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
reprogram, not
Reprogram
kind of,
your absolutely
right,
start reprogramming your subconscious.
right.
Dominic was here for a moment and then he disappeared again, so I think it's his. Oh, Dominic is here. So even though you may not be able to call in, if anybody has, and thank you, Thomas, but let's stay
Yep.
stay on the line. If anybody has a question for Dominic, you want to type it in, use your fingers, type it in really quickly. I will ask and Dominic can then text us back an answer. And well, he keeps disappearing. I think he's got an internet issue. Honestly, is what it looks like because he's here, and then he goes away. He's here, and he goes away. So that may be a wireless connection thing going on over there. Okay. Anybody else have a question about manifestations? I do. There was, somebody else had a manifestation. She was just on the call. I don't want to spill her beans, but she had something that she's been working on for over 3 years, and it was big. It was really, really big, and it just came to fruition like a week ago. So there was all of that celebration, and obviously, I'd love to share what that is, but since I don't have permission, I'm not. So, and another one of my clients, sent me a text message yesterday saying, I'm living in the land of magic. And what that meant is that, using the tools, using the techniques, using the principles that are taught in quantum leaping, she has now created this life for herself that feels freaking magical on a daily basis. Things that were not working before with people are now working. So it's just being in that space again of possibility and looking at life through a different lens, seeing all of the possibilities that are available when we make shifts and changes.
So, Ellie, what happens? Someone gets their manifestation and they're at a certain level, and then what? What's next after that?
Okay. All right. Great question. Here's my opinion. We never stop. You want to call it wanting, creating, desiring. There's a great Bible quote. I'm not, I saw it, but I can't memorize it. It's basically, um, we will, as human beings, we will always have desires. That's why we're here. And desires are God basically telling us what's next. Okay. And well, that's kind of like a two-edged sword, okay? Because if you have desires that are not so healthy for
Godly.
other people around you, but you know what? It is what's next, okay? If you have desires and you have desires to do something that could get you behind bars, that is what's next for you if you don't change your programming, right? So the desires pretty much are our roadmap of what it is that we want. And then we that's our roadmap, and then we just continue to grow into those manifestations, and unfortunately, some people have desires that are not healthy for themselves, and they're not healthy for society, and they're definitely not healthy. They can get you behind bars. Only who, we don't, there's so much involved in being human. How can we, what right do we have then? um this is what it is. We can get into, is this their karma, is this their destiny, is this their fate, their upbringing, why do they, and I don't really want to go down that path, okay, but what is it that would have one child grow up to become the president of the United States, and another child become a serial killer? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
and they could be next door neighbors. So again, is we can that's a whole other conversation. Genetic programming, DNA, past lives.
Right, right,
Um,
exactly.
So, but the point is that where I was going with this is that you asked what's next. So
Hmm. Yeah,
let's take a healthy person who is looking, and I don't mean healthy physically. I'm talking about mentally healthy person who now has created. Well, let's take you for example. Let's take you now, and here you are manifesting travel and going all over the world. Well, there may be something that you want to add to this, this pot. Okay. Like you're cooking this, you're cooking your pot, right? You're
right,
cooking your meal.
right.
So there may be something that you want to add. We've got somebody who wants to join us. Call back. I'll let you in. And so if you have if you add to that pot and you start visualizing again, same tools that got you to Europe, the same tools that got you traveling, same tools, okay? Get that
So do you
feeling.
manifest, do you keep manifesting
Hmm.
the one
Hmm.
manifestation that you already have and then adding to it, as though you said you were cooking, to make a larger pot?
This is
Or
what
you,
I
or
would.
do, or do
Mhm.
you just manifest a totally separate thing and hope that manifestation that you already have will stay? And will they stay without continuing to manifest?
Only if you
But
want them to. You know what I'm saying? It's up to us. We don't have to have an either or. Um, we can have much more. It doesn't have to be an either or. So let's say you want to start traveling, okay? So you continue to travel, but maybe your manifestation is, oh, and I want to travel, but I want to have more money, and I want to travel with a partner. I want to travel with friends. Okay, well
mhm,
then there you go. So the manifestation just gets tweaked. Does that make sense? Like now, oh, let me just,
right,
as if you were painting a picture. So, oh, you know what? I don't want that color blue. I'm just going to move that color blue. I'm going to put this other color blue. Um, I've got somebody here. I think they called in live, but I don't see them. So, if you wanted to call in live, go ahead, go for it. And if you want to join our conversation, like I said, this is live. All right. So just have to hit that call button. I know you attempted to do that before and it went away. So it might have been an accident. Um, Did that answer your question?
Yes, but can you stop manifesting the first item and then will that manifestation stop or will it continue to go on and then have other manifestations that could go with it, but you're not manifesting the original manifestation?
Okay, I'm
Example.
not.
So
I'm
I
yeah.
know, it's kind of confusing. So I manifested travel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then
Mm-hmm.
if I stop manifesting travel, will that manifestation stop? And then I manifested separately, maybe a partner and friends.
Oh, good question. So I'm going to just say I don't have an answer for that, but I'm just going to
Okay.
speculate. I'm going to speculate on this one that once you are in the habit, okay, so now once you turn into the habitual way of being, so the habit now starts, so it becomes part of it's like getting up and exercising. So now it becomes a ritual, it becomes routine, it becomes a habit. So I believe that then it will continue, the travel will continue to come into your life until you stop it or
So by
until you
not,
choose the until you choose an alternate. Okay, maybe I don't want to travel with this company, I want to travel something else. But if you want to continue traveling with this company, then you just continue to manifest it, and even on a larger scale. Okay.
okay, got it. Interesting, very interesting. I'd
this is
never thought
how
about it.
this is how I see it. It's I just added to the repertoire. Let's say, for example, people in business, all right, like people who are single entrepreneurs. Take for example my business. There are a lot of people who go to what's the word I'm looking for? They hire business coaches, and then most of the people they start out their business. Okay, let's say they just start day one. They want to build a business, and they're solo entrepreneurs. They don't know how to build a business, so they go to a business coach, and so then the business coach starts to teach them. Well, let's get you to $5,000 a month. And that's usually where people who start off aspire to generating 5,000. This is conventional wisdom, right? So they want to start their own business. So the dream number is, all right, I'm going to generate 5K a month. So then through coaching, through the belief system, through experience, through networking, they get to 5K. And then they go, the next progression is usually, this is just historically how it's gone in business schools. In these programs, you go to 7K, and then you start generating 7K, but you don't have to keep manifesting, oh, I want 7K, I want 7K. Only in the beginning. Then comes the next transition. You follow me, and then all of a sudden you find yourself at these other numbers, and you don't have to be daily manifesting the lower numbers. Now you just keep pulling in those higher numbers. Okay.
hmm
Did that
hmm
make sense? That's
Yeah,
how
so
I see it.
it just goes back to the recipe again and just adding
Mm-hmm.
to that recipe to maybe make it
Mm-hmm.
larger
Mm-hmm.
and to make
Right,
your
exactly.
manifestation larger.
Right. So you know that you have like a really good pasta, okay? Like you have a really good
Right,
tomato paste. No, no, no. Like a
right.
tomato sauce. You have like a
hmm
really good tomato sauce. You don't have to go back now and put all the ingredients in. You just keep adding some more spices to it or variations of it. That's how I
Okay.
see it. And you know what I mean?
To
You don't have
change
to
it.
go back
Yes.
and you don't have to go back and get all the tomatoes again and stick it in, uh, unless your belief system doesn't match your lifestyle. Then it will disappear after a while. You know what I'm saying? Like if you start saying, the great point. If you start saying things like, "Oh, this travel is too much. I'm really tired. I don't want to be doing this anymore." Guess what? Bye bye. It's going to go away.
hmm hmm
Your
Okay.
language will definitely create that reality. Now, if you start adding to this, well, I'm so excited that I'm traveling now with my partner, my love interest, my new person, okay, my new spouse. Okay, I start adding that to the pot in affirmations, in talking, okay, in seeing, feeling it real, but especially in conversation, right, with yourself. Then guess what you're going to call in? All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you can. I got a story for you. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, you could be at the airport, turn around, talk to somebody. I actually
Right.
saw that when I was coming home from Costa Rica. I saw a young couple. Um, they weren't so young, but they were, young compared to me. So chronologically. So I saw a couple start talking to each other. It was quite obvious, without even eavesdropping, that they had just literally met at the airport. And so then they went off to the bar, the restaurant for, food and drink. And it was just like, storybook, storybook.
And so
So
and so it goes.
yeah. So, these things are possible. And all you have to do is just keep adding. And, you've created such a wonderful life. It's so exciting that you just keep adding to the manifestations and it will continue to go and grow. And I will tell you, and you know this, when we have to add gratitude to the entire recipe, that is the secret ingredient is gratitude for what we have and gratitude for what is coming. Hello? Where'd he go? All
Here I
right,
am, Ellie.
anybody?
I'm back. I heard you, but I'm talking, and I guess you didn't hear me.
No, I
Um,
didn't hear you.
no, and I do the gratitudes every night. Every
Hmm.
night, I
Hmm.
write down
Hmm.
10 gratitudes, and actually, it's amazing because I watch things throughout the day, and then at the night, I can gather all those things that I'm grateful for and put them at the end of the day.
Isn't that
Um,
beautiful? Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
like simple things. It's like simple things, like I see a blind person on the street, so I'm grateful that I have my eyesight and that I can see. That's the type of things that I see during the day, and that's how I end it at the end of the day. But then I also do the gratitudes for things that I want. So I'm already thanking, and I'm also grateful for things that I don't have yet, but in my mind, I already have them.
Yes, yes, and that's it, and that's part of the Bible also. There's again, I really do need to get. I don't need to, but it would be wonderful if I had my Bible quotes. So there's another quote in the Bible about thanking God for what we already have. That's how it works. Okay, so that we thank God, and there's this great quote in the Bible. Somebody go find it for me while I'm talking, but it's really thanking God, thanking the universe, thanking source in advance for what we know, for having heard us. I think the prayer goes something like, thank you, Father, that thou hast heard me. Okay. And it's some scripture about knowing that God hears the prayer, therefore it's already done if you believe in earnest and you're not begging and pleading, oh please, 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 those begging free, it's a whole frequency also. It's fascinating stuff when you start looking at it from a energetic point of view and belief way.
So it's interesting, when I was in Petra in Jordan, my guide was a Bedouin, and he was talking about very much the same thing that's involved in their religion, is thanking themselves every day for what they have. It's not what they're going to get, but what they have. And
Mm-hmm.
most of them have nothing compared to
Mm-hmm.
what we have in Western culture. But
Mm-hmm.
they have so much within themselves that they are so grateful.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yes.
totally different way of life. And it really opened my eyes to a lot of things.
And yeah, and thank you for sharing that because there's so much beauty in that. What you're saying right now, to be grateful for what it is that we have, even, grateful for our, like you said, our eyesight, the fact that we can walk if we're walking, the fact that we can speak and listen, the fact that we have homes or something or transportation or food, fresh water to clean our, to wash with. We have to be grateful for these things and not go into this space of um, greed and lack, and again, like in the Bible, so like maybe there's a message here for me, like thou shalt not covet. Okay, like why would you want to covet when there's so much in the world? There's so much abundance. Why have this attitude? It's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. I have to have what they have. I have to have what they have. I mean, to me, like why? Just be grateful you have what you have, and it's a blessing, and it's beautiful when you can see the beauty of what it is that you have
I
or
think
who
it's
you
a
are.
lesson. I think it's a lesson that we have to learn, that we're all on our own journey, and that we
Hmm.
can't compare ourselves against anyone else. Because when
Hmm.
we start comparing is when we start falling.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. And which brings me right away to Instagram, and especially Instagram more so than Facebook. But that it did start on Facebook, really, is to stop comparing yourself to those ideal posts. Because I work with many people, and I follow many of the people that I work with on Instagram. And when they, the people in my consulting programs are have amazing lives, and I'm not just saying that because there is no deception in there, but there are people that I have read for over the past, and I look and I've read for them, and I've had one reading, done a psychic reading, and looked at and read for them, and then I look at their they'll pop up on my Instagram feed or something, and there's real true deception there, and who they present themselves to be and then who they really are is a big disconnect. And they are and if they're listening to this, well, so be it, they know who they are. They're actually unwilling to do the work to change their life. They whatever it is, they I don't know. They're just unwilling to do the work, and willingness to change our lives, willingness to do the work, and willingness to make those changes so that we do make a difference for other people and ourselves is a huge component to the work and to having a great life is willingness to be coachable if you're going to, you know, ask for
I think
it.
there's
So,
just so much negativity out there with the news. I turned the news off maybe a year and a half ago. I have no
mhm,
clue what's going on, and
mhm.
I'm much happier for it because
Abs-
there's nothing I can do about what's going on. And
mhm,
as I'm traveling all over the world, people are the same everywhere. They really are.
mhm,
It's
mhm.
not what the news projects people to be. And my biggest eye opening was in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not what the media is showing. And it's always been that way. If I think back to when I first went to Europe when I was in high school, and there was all kinds of fighting and riots, and you get here and you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I agree. Remember, for most people who are listening to this podcast, I'm going to assume that you have a different perception of the media and the news, and that we do know that all throughout history. Here's the thing: this is nothing new. If you go back and you look at the stories from the Roman emperors. They manipulated the news back then. They manipulated the information. They manipulated all of this to always suit their own needs and their agendas and what they needed to present to the world. And it's no different today. So just remember when you're watching the news, there behind that news report, there's an agenda, and it's probably not yours, but you're just watching it and you're in that sleeper state. Not, I don't mean this is not an insult, it's just where we go. 99.9% of the time we are in the sleeper state, and we get riled up and we watch the news and we believe it to be true, but we forget that behind that news broadcast, behind the people that are supporting the channels and the stations and running the show, are many large interests, and we forget that, or we're not even present to that. Okay, so something to keep an eye on, but that's a whole other conversation for another call. Start looking, and you know what Dominic would say. I think he's not on this call, but he was saying that you can see when you're trained, you can start to see the auras of people, and then when you're trained on this one, and you can start to see who's lying and who's telling the truth. And imagine if we were all able to do that, to like look at a politician or look at a newscaster and recognize right then and there, oh my God, what, they're lying. And I know that, um, oh God, his name is going to leave me. He was the brains behind, it was his work behind Lie to Me, the TV show. Paul Eckert or something like that. I'm not sure on that. He
No.
has all of these micro expressions. I forget the name of it. And he trained the FBI and other agencies to be able to identify the micro expressions of people who are lying, because the body cannot lie. You can be trained, but the body itself cannot lie. It does come out somewhere, but only trained. Like if you are highly trained in this, then you can spot the lies.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. That's a whole other conversation. How exciting. Um, anyway, we are almost at the end of our podcast. So I do want to thank everybody who was here in the room today who listened. And I apologize for Dominic not being able to get on with the Wi Fi. And I do hope that you enjoyed our podcast and our live discussion. When we have our live calls, you can always join in. You are welcome to join the conversations. You just need to have a headset and hit that call button or type it in. And anybody listening, if you are interested in working with me, just know that I'm offering a group for the first time ever. I'm doing a group quantum leaping program. This is the same material as my one on ones. And there's a 20% discount for anybody who registers and signs up for that program before the end of August. And that'll be a 20%, but you have to email me and let me know that you were on the podcast. And then I will honor your 20% discount for that. And I'm going to put the link, if you give me a second, I'm going to put that link right into the chat. So if anybody's interested in signing up for this course, I'm telling you, your life will change. And I'm not just saying that because I'm saying that, but for those people who you've heard, for people who have done this work, it is life altering. Okay, without any further ado, I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful week. Stay in touch. You can email me at elly@ellymolina.com. Like the podcast, share the podcast, get on the podcast, and spread the word. Go manifest and have a magical life. Thank you, Thomas, for being
Thanks,
my
Elly.
guest. Being my guest today. It was a pleasure.
It was
Okay.
a pleasure being here and being able to speak with you as well.
All right. Take care, everybody. Lots of love. Blessings and bye bye.